Welcome to Asia Inside Out, the signature podcast of the Asia Society Policy Institute. Asia Inside Out brings together our team and special guests to take you behind the latest policy headlines and provide an insider's view on regional and global affairs. Each episode will deliver an interview with informed experts, analysts, and decision makers from across the Asia-Pacific region. If you want to dig into the details of the latest policy trends and why they're important, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Asia Inside Out.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Farwa Aamer and I'm the Director for South Asia Initiatives at the Asia Society Policy Institute in New York. And today I'm truly pleased to be in conversation with His Excellency Professor Ahsan Iqbal, Pakistan's Federal Minister for Planning, Development and Special Initiatives. Minister Ahsan Iqbal is also a member of the National Assembly of Pakistan, and over the past decades, he's held senior economic planning and leadership positions, including 3 separate terms as the Minister for Planning and Development. He has also served as Pakistan's Minister of Interior from 2017 to 2018, and as the Minister of Education in 2008. In 2016, the United Nations Development Programme appointed Minister Iqbal as a champion minister from the Asia-Pacific region in recognition of his efforts to promote the Sustainable Development Goals. Welcome, Minister, to the Asia Society.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure.
And thank you for joining me on the Asia Inside Out. As we are gathered here in New York for this conversation, it's only right that I start with U.S. Pakistan relations. The bilateral ties have been on an upswing the past 1.5 years under President Trump's second term. Of course, Pakistan's role as the key mediator in the US-Iran negotiation has added a lot of weight to its diplomatic sort of outreach in the Washington space, but also on the global map. But beyond Pakistan's key diplomatic wins, there's another area that has got Washington's particular interest. That is critical minerals. Washington's very interested in critical minerals potentials and in diversifying the supply chain away from risky geographies. Pakistan's potential has been particularly important and the leadership has engaged a lot on that. Could you walk us through how Pakistan is looking at developing its critical minerals industry? How is it narrowing that gap between potential and performance, and how is it going to work with partners like the United States, whether it's through the MOU with the U.S. strategic metals that was signed last year, or the EXIM investment that's coming in, as well as with critical minerals ministerial that's being led by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, let me acknowledge what you said in the opening, that Pakistan and U.S. are entering a new phase in their relationship. There is a lot of warmth, there is a lot of goodwill that has been generated by the role that has been played by Pakistan recently, particularly in trying to resolve the recent crisis in the Persian Gulf. Pakistan and USA have actually otherwise enjoyed a long partnership. America was one of the first countries that recognized Pakistan. And we have been at times very close and at times not too close. And the primary reason for that up and down swing was that our relationship largely focused on geopolitics or security domain. And therefore, this time around, our effort is that we must expand the scope of our bilateral relationship, and it should extend into economic cooperation. It should extend into technology area. Pakistan has huge bulge of young population, which is very talented in IT sector. Pakistan also has a huge opportunity in terms of being located at crossroads of very important markets in Asia. And as the center of gravity in this century is shifting towards Asia in terms of the future economy. So Pakistan can really play a very important role. And that is why under Udan Pakistan, we have identified geoeconomics as now the new center of gravity for finding a new equilibrium between Pakistan and USA in our relationship. You mentioned about critical minerals. Pakistan has over $7 trillion worth of minerals which are hidden under the soil. And unfortunately, due to primary reason that we had been involved in different conflicts in the region, we could not attract minerals require heavy investments. So we were not able to attract foreign investment. And also, due to our own political instability, these sectors require long term investments. But now that Pakistan has come out of those past conflicts, we have stability restored. Pakistan's own macroeconomic stability has been restored. Government is now very actively promoting this very critical resource of Pakistan that can generate billions of dollars of exports for Pakistan, because exports is one of our weak links in economic development. Unfortunately, because of the poor performance in economic sector, we have seen many boom and bust cycles, and therefore export is our primary pillar in the new 5 E's strategy that we have under Udan Pakistan. Pakistan hopes, and we understand that U.S. has know-how, it has knowledge, it has capital, and inviting U.S. And making U.S. partner in this critical area will help Pakistan realize the potential that remains hidden underground for many decades. And therefore, there is great interest from U.S. companies, and many other countries are also interested to develop Pakistan's mines and minerals, and particularly focus on the critical minerals that are very much part of the new Industrial Revolution 4.0.
Thank you, Mr. Another important player in Pakistan's sort of foreign policy playbook is China. It is important to Pakistan as a geopolitical partner, as a strategic partner, as an economic partner. Also, a country that has an interest in Pakistan's mining sector. So when we're discussing how U.S. is interested in diversifying supply chains, it is to diversify it away from China's monopoly in refining and in processing and mining. China has established mines in Pakistan. It is also a part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor 2.0 vision. If I could, break this question down into two parts. First, could you please speak to us about the CPEC 2.0 vision, recognizing that there have been challenges the first time round the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor came into Pakistan, the investments came in, it was supposed to be a game changer, but because of various different reasons, particularly security challenges, it did not meet the envisioned fate. So what is going to be different this time round? How's the Pakistani government looking at making progress happen? And the second part, Minister, is how is Pakistan looking to navigate having both the United States and China in its mineral sector?
Yeah, first of all, let me say that, China has been Pakistan's very trusted partner and friend throughout our history. And in 2013, when we started China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Pakistan was facing acute shortage of investment. We did not have energy for 18 hours in the country due to the conflicts that had proceeded over decades in Afghanistan. Investors were shy of coming to Pakistan. So Pakistan was facing, great deficit in energy, and its infrastructure had been, destroyed due to logistics or whatever, to fight the war in Afghanistan. At that critical time, I think China came forward with CPEC phase 1, and in 3 years, we were able to harness $25 billion worth of investment. So that helped us overcome energy crisis that Pakistan had, because in today's world, if you don't have power or energy, that's not having oxygen to live. A modern economy depends on energy. So that investment in the first phase enabled us to overcome our energy shortages. But besides that, it also built modern infrastructure, new highways, as well as fiber optic cable that has strengthened our digital infrastructure. It also invested in Gwadar port to develop its capabilities. So all in all, in the first phase, we actually were more focused on government-to-government financing and building an infrastructure. Now, this was to be followed by establishment of special economic zones. And if you would recall at that time, many Chinese companies were relocating to other destinations which had low cost of production because in China, cost of labor had increased. Unfortunately, at that time, due to, again, political instability, we could not maintain that momentum. And as a result, some of those companies which were looking to invest in Pakistan moved away because special economic zones could not be completed in time. But now we have revived CPEC in phase 2 as 2.0. And under this, we are focusing on 5 corridors. There is a corridor of growth, which seeks to expand Pakistan's productive capacity. There is corridor of livelihoods, which seeks to focus on creating socio-economic development and development of underdeveloped areas. There is corridor of innovation that seeks to have cooperation in technology sector because now, as you know, AI is changing everything, and China has developed relatively good capability in adoption of AI. So Pakistan also wants to be, not left behind in adoption of AI. Then the 4th corridor is green corridor. How can we have renewables in our energy, make transition from fossil fuel to renewables? And 5th is open corridor, which means regional integration. How we integrate through multimodal transport connectivity with Central Asia and other parts of the region. So this phase 2 primarily takes the focus from government to business. And the areas that we are mainly focusing is modernization of Pakistan's agriculture because we are most vulnerable, one of the top 10 vulnerable countries to climate change. And our food security is directly at risk. So we need to invest heavily in our food security with the development of new seeds, new crop varieties that are weather resistant, and how do we bring resilience into our agriculture sector. Second is, again, industry. How do we develop industrial capability by having joint ventures with Chinese companies which have developed advanced capabilities in terms of their linkages in global supply chains. Third is mines and minerals. Just like U.S. companies are interested, Chinese companies are also interested in exploring Pakistan's mining and mineral potential. Fourth is technology, and 5th is human resource development. So these are now new areas and new avenues of cooperation, which is away from government to government and more into business to business domain. And recently, we have had a number of business conferences in which large number of Chinese companies and Pakistani companies participated, and they signed several billions of dollars of joint ventures. So we are encouraging, and we hope to have similar kind of cooperation with U.S. companies. There are, different strengths of China and USA. USA has, much more advanced technology. USA was the country that enabled Pakistan to have first green revolution in 60s. So we have very strong tradition and history of partnership with some agricultural universities in United States that principally enabled Pakistan to achieve first green revolution, and we are actively pursuing this opportunity. In our previous tenure, we started a new project, Pakistan-US Knowledge Corridor. I was educated here, and I always say that what makes United States a superpower is not the hardware of its military. It's the software of its universities. what takes place in the laboratories and the classrooms in U.S. universities and leading universities, that is what gives strength to its defense sector. That is what gives strength through its innovation to its business, to its economy. So, if you look at history, there is a very strong correlation of countries having access to U.S. higher education and then developing their own countries with the same human resource that went back. So Pakistan, unfortunately, did not really fully capitalize on this opportunity. So we are now seeking much more greater opportunities and access for our students to study at leading universities so that they are trained here and they go back and build their country. Likewise, now Pakistan has emerged as a very strong, attractive destination for IT sector because we have a young population which is very talented, which is world class, and offers great cost advantage compared to other destinations. So we are now seeing many U.S. companies having their backlinks with Pakistani IT resources and taking that advantage. And we hope that we can, develop this technology collaboration further. And likewise, artificial intelligence is now something that is a global challenge for every country. We have a global reset, whether you are a developed country or a developing country. Each country is now facing this challenge that how fast it will be able to understand first and then embrace AI into its society and economy. Otherwise, it will be left behind. So we also are trying to build partnerships and collaboration so that Pakistan can take advantage in this field and in this area. So with China, we have now more business-to-business relationship in second phase. Likewise, with USA, we are exploring more opportunities of private sector investment. Now, to your second question, how are we going to balance the two? I think Pakistan, throughout its history, has maintained very cordial, very strong relations with United States and China, both. Even at a time when United States did not recognize China. So Pakistan does not believe in having a relationship with any country at the cost of another country, and we do manage our relationships on merit of each country. We have very good relations with United States. We have good relations with China. We have equally good relations with European Union countries. We have likewise very good relations with GCC countries. These are all our strategic economic partners, and we hope that they can all work with us, and we look forward to work with them. And therefore, economic development does not have to be a zero-sum game. Right. We can all collaborate and gain, and it can be a win-win proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. And since you mentioned countries coming together, the idea of network diplomacy to achieve a shared goal, AI is one of the most potent policy conversations of our time. And you mentioned Pakistan working with U.S. technology leaders and companies and also universities to develop its own sort of AI capabilities, which is, it remains a nascent sector at the moment, but the National AI Policy came out last year. There is now an Islamabad Declaration on AI that puts national AI capabilities as a national sort of strategic priority for the country as it heads into economic transformation for the next decade. But it is very important for our listeners also and our audience to get a sense from you, how is Pakistan going to bring together the key layers that go into making that AI ecosystem, and whether it's governance, whether it's infrastructure, and whether it's just policies that make ease of business happen. So over to you for your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think as you have very rightly mentioned, that these things cannot just be done in isolation. They need an ecosystem. And you'll be happy to know that under our previous regime, when we had Vision 2025, in 2016-17, we set up National Center for Artificial Intelligence National Center for Cybersecurity, National Center for Big Data Cloud Computing, National Center for Automation Robotics, National Center for GIS and Satellite Technology, National Center for Genomics, and others, which were all, which are the drivers of Industrial Revolution 4.0 and 5.0. And these centers were not just set up as one center at one place, but they were established on the hub and spoke model. You know, there was a center, and then we networked all other universities and resources that had capability in those areas. So it was like a network. Over the years, these centers have developed an ecosystem, and the design of these centers was that they would not be research centers, but they would be geared towards commercialization of research, and their KPI would depend on how many startups they are able to produce and how many patents they are able to generate. And I'm happy to, state that almost all of these centers have now graduated or churned out number of startups in Pakistan, and we have a good ecosystem being built around these centers with the development of new human resource and development of the infrastructure of the value chain that goes into establishing a cluster or an ecosystem. And now building on that, we have the new national AI policy. As I said, that this is an area where even, I spoke to many experts here. If you speak to four people will give you different answers how AI is going to impact and what are its, challenges and opportunities. So this is something which everyone is grappling with, and this is a moment, this is one of those moments when there is a paradigm shift. Everyone stands in a line, you can also catch up. Whoever, moves faster to embrace a new paradigm can become actually the beneficiary rather than wait and be a victim of that change. So we came up with this national AI policy under which we are not just focusing, on any one area, but we have the whole value chain before us. For example, to have AI, you also need to have an infrastructure. You need to have data centers. You need to have your education, reform, because many programs and the methods being adopted in education out of previous industrial period are going to be redundant. So we are, very actively now looking at reform of our curriculum right from school to higher education. It also requires having the right protocols, because now, as you know, that under AI, just as in industrial economy, oil was the fuel.
Right.
In AI, data is the fuel, and it is data which fuels everything. So there is also this issue that how do you have control over your data? So, how do you have sovereign AI or data policy that at least, enables you to you have your data secure and use it? So these are all different areas in which government is very actively working. But most importantly, we think that this offers us an opportunity of speeding up of our progress and catching up on the opportunities that we have missed in the past. So we have a task force which is working on AI in education, AI in healthcare, AI in industry, AI in governance and public sector. So in different domains, we have set up these task forces which are working not just for adoption, also for re-engineering the processes. Many of those processes which were done in the previous era are now redundant with AI. AI can do a lot better, lot faster some of the tasks than previously were being done by maybe 100 people. You just need one agent, to do it. So I'm very hopeful that Pakistan would be one of those countries that has a very proactive role and very proactive position on adopting AI.
Thank you, Minister, for that. And since you mentioned tech sovereignty, and it's a big piece of what the middle power countries are thinking as they sort of calibrate what to do next, especially recognizing the kind of dominance U.S. and China has in this space, in the various layers of this tech stack? How do you build ownership, at least some of it? They're trying to see whether partnering with like-minded countries, again, going back to what you said, taking advantage of strengths that each individual country has, but joining forces to build some sort of indispensability in a particular layer. I think that's where most countries are now thinking their sovereign AI ambition, through that lens. But the resources you mentioned, what powers AI, that's data. But what powers these infrastructures is also water and energy. And one thing that I've followed very closely for the past many years is water security in the South Asia region. It's a geopolitical issue, it's a social issue, it's an economic issue. One that, of course, for Pakistan is great because given its water stress, given its climate vulnerability, of course, the food security challenges that are all tied to it, of course, energy, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But I understand that water security is also a big part of your mandate.
Yeah.
Could you talk to us a little bit about how Pakistan is now looking at effective water governance, making sure that there is sustainability built into the policy approach, especially if Pakistan is looking to advance in sectors like mining and AI that are very thirsty by nature?
Yeah. First of all, on the data centers, I think Pakistan has abundance of energy. Rather, we have right now problem with the surplus energy that we have. So, I mean, in the short to medium term.
This is renewable energy?
I mean, this is both renewable and non-renewable. So, I mean, we are good to go on data centers. And I think we also have enough capacity in our data centers that we have already established. But there are now more investments coming in Pakistan in data centers. For water, that is a major concern for us, that Pakistan does consider that water security is not important for us only for AI or data centers, but actually first and foremost due to the climate change,
right.
The threat that we face. And as a result, now government has accelerated its program and investment in water reservoirs and new dam projects that are under construction. And we want to speed up their completion. And that will give us, added capacity, about 6 million acre feet, 6 million acre water reservoir capacity through the Amir Basha Dam and Moman Dam. But I think we are already late because in last almost 40 to 50 years, we did not construct any new reservoir. So we have some catching up to do. And these new reservoirs should make water supply stable. But just as we face the climate change challenge, there is also a second challenge that we face in this water treaty that has stood, test of time for last 70 years. India and Pakistan fought several wars, but it was always considered untouchable because it is an international agreement. And this time around, the Indian government has unilaterally, held it in abeyance. And that sort of creates a new challenge that first time probably water has been weaponized in modern history. And we now face this threat that, they can use water as a weapon to deny Pakistan water when it needs for its crops and release it when we don't need it. So these dams that we are constructing would also be our buffer. But I think at the same time, we cannot let this go unnoticed. We are using all the diplomatic means to make sure that, we don't have future wars on water, because we already have seen lots of wars, and we actually need to now focus on people's development and fighting poverty in South Asia, on fighting disease and illiteracy. And we all have a huge youth bulge in South Asia. And if we will not focus on them, right now South Asia remains as the least integrated region in the world. All development we see is coming through regional integration. But somehow our region is the least integrated region. So we hope that there is better sense in our neighbor's mind, and we are not seeing that water is weaponized, and we go to another conflict with India over water, because Pakistan cannot surrender at any cost the future of its 250 million people and its food security for its right of water. Because if we let it happen, then every state that is on the lower side of water supply would be hostage to any country that controls the rivers. So this is not just Pakistan's case, it is actually an international case for every other country which is on the receiving end of water or rivers, lower riparian countries. So therefore, this is an important challenge, and Pakistan has now made some additional investments in its development budget to speed up the water projects.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I think regional cooperation is absolutely important for South Asia's resilience building model, and riparian countries to find sort of the diplomatic means to work together. But just building on that, we talked about water, we talked about energy a bit, but of course, what happened in the Persian Gulf over the past months, it laid bare vulnerabilities in Asia on the whole, with the kind of economic and energy shock these economies faced. So we realize how many strategic vulnerabilities and interdependencies there are in terms of where is the energy getting procured from and how it's being utilized within the countries. How is Pakistan working to reduce some of these vulnerabilities so it's not as hit by external shocks? Pakistan had some insulation owing to its solar boom, but in terms of just commodities as well, how do you make sure that it can better insulate itself from the larger shocks?
As you mentioned, that Pakistan is, I think, one of the success stories in the last 4 years. That the solar boom enabled us to add more than 6,000 megawatts of solar energy, and we are a success story. That has taken off some burden from fossil fuel or oil as an input into power generation. Our main vulnerability remains in the transport sector. So therefore, government in this budget has introduced many incentives for moving from internal combustion engines to EVs. And we hope that in the next 5 years, we would be able to bring a major chunk of our road transport on EVs. That will be environmentally friendly, but at the same time will save us millions and billions of dollars. Because right now our transport sector is the biggest consumer of imported fuel, and we are therefore attempting to minimize our dependence on imported fuel. So the solar and renewables in power sector and conversion in transport sector onto EVs, I think both will really help us mitigate this vulnerability.
Thank you. And just on that piece about resilience building, if you could shed light on what Pakistan is doing, just finally for our listeners and for our audience, what is Pakistan doing with other partners, with regional neighbors to collaborate? Since you mentioned, how important it is for better integration practices within this region, which unfortunately has not seen much integration, despite recognizing the benefits of it. How is Pakistan working with Bangladesh, with Nepal? I understand you were in Bangladesh earlier this year as well, and the wider region.
Yeah. No, Pakistan truly believes that, South Asia is, as I said, least integrated region, and there are many opportunities for us to cooperate in South Asia. But in order for South Asia to realize its potential, we must have an open mind, and we must resort to political dialogue instead of proxy wars like now we are facing through Afghanistan, a new wave of terrorism in Pakistan. And we have defeated such terrorism in the past, and inshallah we will do it again. But this creates a lot of mistrust. I mean, therefore, it is important that India also realizes that for South Asia to function as a region, it has critical role because it is right in the center. And all the countries in South Asia are on its periphery. So unless India is supportive of regional cooperation, SARC can never take off. And you have seen that how a SARC summit has been blocked by India every time it has been called. So I jokingly tell our Indian friends that if you only have a heart 1/4 the size of your geography, maybe the environment in the South Asia would be much different. So it depends how Indian leadership thinks. But Pakistan on its own is enjoying very good relations with Sri Lanka, with Bangladesh, with Maldives, with Nepal, with Bhutan, and we are, as you said, I was there at the inauguration of the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and I held meetings with their government leaders, and we are now having regular exchanges, and we are very excited that there is a new chapter being written between Pakistan and Bangladesh. We have now direct flight from Bangladesh to Pakistan that is helping people-to-people contact. So we are working regardless of what India's policy is towards South Asia with other South Asian partners, because we genuinely believe that this is an age where cooperation and collaboration holds key for not just one country but all countries to work together. It is a world which is more networked, which is more integrated. Different countries have different strengths, and we all have to complement each other to create a more stable, peaceful, and prosperous region.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. It was great being in conversation with you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being on Asia Inside Out.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
That's it for this month's episode of Asia Inside Out. I'd like to thank our guest, Federal Minister Ahsan Iqbal, and the Asia Society Policy Institute team for making this episode possible, with special thanks to Ismail Faisal.